All right, let's start. So again, welcome to our webinar, Clicks to Consumers Through Meta Advertising. Today I will take you through all the updates on the platform in the last, well, let's say quarter to a year. Also, we're going to look at some trends in ad performance and also based on some cases. And I will give you a roadmap to experimentation so you can identify your desired outcomes for your target audience and how to use your value proposition in creative concepts to come to creative winning ads. So first, something about me. My name is Mick Brok. I'm a senior growth hacker at Sprint Sneakers. I once started my career as a paid social advertising specialist 4 years ago. I also got certified on media buying in May 2021. And since then, I've been keeping up with the platform updates. I came down to a total ad spend of 1.5 million. I'm a bit surprised when I look at that. It's a lot of money. But it got me to the point where I was able to give the trainings for Frankwatching as well. All right, so back to the training. It got me to the point where I was a Frankwatching trainer, and now I'm just applying my knowledge on the clients for Sprint and Sneakers. So what is Sprint and Sneakers? Sprint and Sneakers is a purpose-driven growth hacking agency. What does it mean? Basically, we use the concept of growth hacking to grow impact partners and make a positive impact on the world, since it is our belief that making a positive impact leads to sustainable growth. Over the years, we actually got some nice accreditations. Since we started, we've been in the FDVSL 3 years in a row. We won the Lemurs 100, and Wart van Gasten is actually calling us the #1 growth hacking agency of the Netherlands. So yeah, we are on top of the game on staying in the latest updates and also the most relevant to our own clients. Whereas one accreditation, there was a very big hype. We also got accredited by the Financial Times to be one of the 1,000 big fastest growing companies in Europe. And it got us at place 539. So I think we already have some stuff to be proud of, and we keep on going in this manner. So then about today, as I said, first we're going to run through the trends and updates on the platform. Then I'm going to make a roadmap to experimentation, which will start with an e-com campaign strategy, then your targeting for 2025, and then we will make an AI use case with Nike, just for a good example, to show you how you can get from the pain points of your target audience into creative concepts and actually scale what works in advertising. There's also a little gift, but I'm not going to spoil too much. You will see that by the end. So going to the trends, this is our social landscape in 2025. As you can see, Facebook and Instagram are still the market leader in the social landscape. On the last couple of years, TikTok has been a very big rising star, but we also see a stagnation in that trend. And that all has to do with the product adoption life cycle. Like young people adopt new trends sooner than older people. I always take my dad as a great example for this. He's finally checking in on Facebook at his age of 62. And now my colleague who's sitting next to me is probably making TikTok ads the entire day. So young people adopt tech sooner. Also think of this when you apply your platform, like who are you speaking to? Is this the right platform for you? Use TikTok for your Gen Z audience, use Instagram for your Gen Y audience, and everybody older than that is still there on Facebook. How does this look in the Netherlands? Yeah, it's somewhat similar. What's nice that we see that the decline in Facebook has actually stagnated as well. So people stay in the platform, which was a problem in the beginning of Instagram. We saw a big migration from Facebook to Instagram. And there was some, well, I would say fear that TikTok would take over the entire market. But as we can see here as well in the graph, that stagnated as well. So combined, we have 18 million users in the Netherlands. I don't think we have 18 million people in the Netherlands. So there is some cannibalization of people who use Facebook and Instagram, but Meta is still the leading brand for reaching the 11 million who use social media in the Netherlands. So I'm going to start with a question for the audience as well. What place does Facebook have on the ranks of most website visits worldwide? I will give you a minute to respond, and then I will give you the answer. All right, we already see some answers coming in, and I actually see the right answer in there as well. 37 was a bit off, but we're third. Of course, Google is the biggest, since the Google search engine is still the market leader on searching everything on the web. And YouTube is still the biggest in streams and therefore also in website visits on the second place. However, I think for a social platform, Facebook is doing very well with their third place. All right, then the biggest improvement in the platform itself, I would say, is Meta Advantage Plus. Before we had a lot of AI optimized solutions in the platform, like budget optimization, audience expansion, and all placements. They actually captured this under a full umbrella that is just called Advantage Plus in Meta. And they are building upon that umbrella still. The first thing that came out was the Advantage Plus shopping campaign. It's also a big question I will get from clients, but also internally, do I need to run an Advantage Plus campaign? The main thing about an Advantage Plus campaign is actually just a retargeting with a lookalike based upon your current customers, since you will put them as the existing customer base and the engaged customer base for your website visits. And we'll actually use that source data to find new customers for your brand. So if you want to use an Advantage Plus campaign, you're very reliant upon your historical data, because we use the historical data and all the on-platform interactions of people with ads to find out which ad will work for every, well, let's say, customer profile on the Meta platform. Why do you need a large budget? Because it needs random sampling. So Meta will distribute your ad amongst the target audience, see which profiles enact with which ads, and then we'll scale upon that. So if you do have a limited budget, or you do have not a lot of historical data, then please steer away from Advantage Plus, because the AI will get confused and it will not know where to put the money in the bucket of ad spend. What does it claim itself? It says it will decrease all your costs, basically. Lower CPAs, lower CPCs, lower cost per website conversion. But again, it relies on the best data. So if you don't have the best data, it's not able to facilitate these numbers. I've run a couple of experiments, and sometimes an Advantage Plus wins if I compare it to a conversion campaign and a retargeting campaign, but a lot of the times it doesn't. One example that does work in my current portfolio is using it as a sale campaign. So what you see on the right side is a sale period we had for one of our fashion brands, and we launched an Advantage Plus campaign with up to 10 or more creatives, ranging from static to animated to video to catalog ads, and we actually had a very good result from that. The campaign converted on a mostly cold audience. I think the distribution was 70% new, 30% existing, at a ROAS of 424, which is on target for this client. So how do you figure this out? Run an experiment. Make a conversion campaign on the target audience that you would use. Also make the Advantage Plus campaign, put them in an A/B test, and run it for 2 weeks. After the 2 weeks, you can compare the conversion data in terms of CTR, CVR, your CAC, and maybe even your ROAS, depending on how much they buy. And you will figure out which is the best route for you to get those most conversions at the lowest cost. Do not make the mistake to just compare your conversion campaign with your Advantage Plus campaign, because that is what your experimenting report will do, because your Advantage Plus campaign is actually also using existing customers. So if you want to make a full comparison, also take your retargeting campaign from your funnel strategy and take that data together with the conversion campaign to truly compare what the best route is, Advantage Plus or not. Then creative enhancements. For everybody who already follows me on LinkedIn, I go very wild about creative enhancements. We're just going to run through them first, and then I'll give you my verdict. So there are a lot of creative enhancements available already. I mean, image animation, ad overlays, touch-ups, even text improvements, varying the texts from different ads to an ad because they saw past performance was good on that on the primary text. However, if I look at what I truly use, I only use the bottom two. It's the enhanced CTA, because we'll just formulate a different text for your button, the button call to action that is more relevant for your goal, and the catalog items. Because the catalog items, they will just random sample below an ad to see what works, and they will always be relevant because it will rely on the profile data of the people it's showing to. So look at the other enhancements. To me, they're not enhancements. They actually decrease my productivity because I have to put them up. Ad overlays will make a banner in the top, which is not working if you have a brand that is highly on their visual representation. The visual touch-ups, for instance, same problem. You will have a feed image that will run in story or the other way around, which leads to weird focuses. So be very careful if you use these enhancements. Meta will always tell you it will work better, but my experience is that they don't. The latest two that were put in the account is flexible media and image generation. So flexible media is found when you upload your creative, you can choose for flexible media, which basically says like, hey, here's my static, make it fit into the Explorer on a horizontal and make it fit into a story in a vertical. However, as we also had with visual touch-ups, that can lead to weird focuses and thereby not really conveying the full message. I've even seen an ad with a text coming outside of the screen. So yeah, again, be very sure, like test if this works for you, but also be very assured that if you have like weird distributions in your placements, it could be because of the flexible media, it's not optimized fully. Image generation, however, I'm very excited about this. It says it will increase your CTR and decrease and increase your conversion rate as well. Why? Because it really makes you localize your content. So if you look at the example, you have a model image in the top, and then below you see that it's distributed amongst different environments. So for instance, Europe, it's very diverse. Barcelona and Paris are completely not the same. But by using the image generation tool, I could actually make a model shoot in Berlin and then diversify it to different countries, which will give them the feeling that it was shot in their neighborhood, and therefore being more personalized, more personalized to them. So, verdict, quality perception. I would say it has a lot of potential. So it could lead to increased productivity because you have one size that fits all. You can turn static into video. It will also lead to an enhanced personalized experience by, for instance, hearing your favorite song run with an ad because the algorithm just knows, hey, he's into hip hop or maybe rock music. However, we're just not there yet. So for now, it's a decreased creative productivity. We have not fitting images, we have low quality videos. I think on the agency side, this leads to a lot of frustration for having to put them up all the time. And we also have a decreased personalized experience. And I think the best example I had from that was a love song running in a recruitment campaign. And I was like, yeah, this just doesn't fit the brand. And therefore we chose not to use it anymore. So again, be very critical about how these enhancements, distribute assets on your target audience, because in this way it's just harmful and not really an enhancement, but decreasing enhancement. So my advice is like realize the potential. I think AI is the biggest team of the world at this point, and the potential is massive. We also see that in creative, for instance. But if we look at the AI and Meta and how it optimizes our ads, it's just not there yet. So yeah, test it out again in a half year, see where we're at then, and maybe start using them once the quality is at the point you want it to be. So yeah, big bold statement for now. Don't use creative enhancements because it will not help your visual reputation. Okay, small tip. People don't really notice, but they enrolled that 5% of your ad budget is automatically spent on testing these creative enhancements. Therefore, even though you're not putting them on, they could like lead to weird distributions. We have use cases of that. If you want to opt out of the creative enhancements or opt in because you actually like the development of AI, you can do this in your advertiser settings. Go to Advanced Plus Creative. There's a screen where you can either choose to allocate this 5% of your budget to creative testing or not. All right, second fun fact from a question. How much active users does Facebook reach monthly worldwide? Right, I think those are the answers we're getting. Oh, the almost right answer is coming in. It's 3.6 billion. And if we look at how big the world is, that's 8.3 billion. So that's actually more than a third of the entire world. For everybody who wants to criticize, an active user is somebody that's logged in. So these are people that you can actually reach. All right, then another trend in the platform, and it probably already given away by all the enhancements that we've been putting out. It is differentiated ad creative strategy. People are looking for personalized experience. Actually, 86% of the platform logs in, allowing Facebook to have to give them a personalized experience. Why is this interesting? Because the whole concept of marketing is run on identification. If I identify with a brand and with their values, I want to carry that out by buying and wearing their product. So in order to have the most personalized experience for every potential customer in your target audience, make sure that you diversify your ads. Diverse in headlines, diverse in images, use different formats like reels, stories, and feeds. But also try different creative concepts. Maybe some people just like the way a sound damping room works because of the sound kill. Other people maybe like just the aspect of how it looks. And it's up to you to just try all these angles and see what works afterwards. So to give you a little bit of a head start, try different formats, but also use content that actually fits the format. So we have a little example here with a feed image that's just portraying a shoe. That would work because feed are just like scrolling. People just want to see highlights, and then that could work. If we would use the same image in a story, then this will not capture the attention because stories are more about your day-to-day, really grasp in the moment. So to have an image of a guy putting on a shoe is way more fitting for the platform and therefore more engaging in that placement. Reels are even more tough because reels are actually there for entertainment. It's not all about like ads and having the big exposure. It's all about like finding something that is humorous or interesting, maybe a video that helps you grow. So really think about how you want to use the reel placement for your brand. Because if you're just communicating about your brand, it will just not fit the placement and therefore not lead to the results you want. Also, play with different angles, different focus, different text usage. If we see this comparison here on the right side again, you have like a normal ad portraying a girl in the striped sweater. But if we look to the story, she's actually on a bike on her way somewhere. So again, in the moment, but also with a way different focus because it's more about like where she's going than what she's wearing. And again, that fits the placement more. And it will also make sure that you have less ad fatigue on your feed image, because if your feed image is also your story image, people will just see the same ad more and more and more, leading to less engagement and higher costs per result. Also diversify your copy. So Meta had the update that you can upload up to 5 primary texts and also 5 headlines. Think about what are all the pain points my target audience has. What are their desired outcomes and how does my value proposition is the link between the pain point and the outcome. And if you will use all those different pain points and desired outcomes, there will always be a text that resonates with the person that's seeing your ad at that point, thereby allowing the algorithm to, again, make the most personalized experience. So play around with all the different angles for your brand. Then the Advantage Plus catalog ads. So Mainly I use these for targeting purposes, but because if you run an Adventure Plus shopping campaign under Adventure Plus catalog ads, you can actually retarget people that already saw content in your catalog or on your website with exactly the same products, reminding them about what they maybe wanted to purchase. Also, you can use this in your prospecting campaigns. So by using your catalog through, let's say, a partner integration, you can actually adjust the overlays, making your catalog images not flat product images, but maybe engaging images like the one with the girl in the middle. Thereby giving the potential customer, again, means of identification and therefore higher engagement, lower costs per result.
Yes.
All right, great. Then we can move on. So a little sorry for that. We had a little no rights on your Google Drive to watch the video. Here we are. Okay, so back to the presentation. So you want to highlight your business in video because video just creates more engagement with your target audience than static. It just creates more engagement with your brand than static. And also it allows you to portray more aspects of your brand. So the first thing you want to do is put a face to the brand. In this video, we just have a customer talking about how she likes coffee in the winter, getting through her days. And it actually is something that is from her personal life that can resonate with the target audience. And therefore, we're creating more engagement with the target audience. Another one that's very clear is show your process. So here we have a burger, a burger shop that's just showing how they make their burgers. And it actually says something about how you get to what people can buy from you. And that grasps back to the golden circle from Simon Sinek. So if you want to talk to your audience, talk about the why, the how, and the what. And this is very good content for how you get to the product the customer can buy. Also, if you find something that works, it's easy to scale this up just by creating a series. So we found a little record shop here that had like a very fun static running a record, showing something on the top. And they just scaled this image to different sorts of creative, thereby utilizing it the most. So another way to make videos for your brand is just highlight details. So here's an example of a candy store that has like this squishy candy, and that could actually lead to this nostalgic feeling of your marshmallow over the campfire. So if there's like these aspects of your brand that are like very tough to capture on image, just translate them into video and make engaging content. Same goes here for somebody who has this making process. I always get very attached to these, how you say this, an axe that is completely rusted coming out of the water, and people will making this will have this incremental process of getting it back to a very nice and new axe. It's just nice and enticing to see, and it really shows how you add value to the customer. Also show your product or service. So here we have like a high-end cake maker. If we would just have a still of this cake, we wouldn't know what the size is, how it is decorated, if it really fits the purpose of the venue. And by putting it on display in a video, you can actually see more aspects, making more engagement. But this can be translated to different products as well. So let's say you're selling a coffee maker. Just make a stop motion of the process of making a very nice coffee and display that on the network, inspiring your audience. Also, giving a sneak peek is still one of the good ones. Like we all have the unboxing feeling, especially with Apple, when the box is a bit stuck. You actually have this, tension building up until you can finally see the product. Use this if you're selling something limited or making a customized item from your product to really build up tension for the moment that it will drop. All right, the third question. How much recurring revenue in ad spend does Facebook yearly generate? All right, I already see some high numbers coming up. And I want to spoil to you Yeah, we're already getting close, but it's even worse. It's 164.5 billion. I must say, like, it's very easy if you're selling a product that cannot be returned to generate revenue. So if you're still thinking about starting a business, maybe do an advertising platform. And this number actually also, yeah, got me thinking of my biggest mistake on the platform. You can choose if you put in a lifetime or a daily budget. And that also gives people the error of distributing that lifetime budget as a daily budget. Yeah, harmful, but very thoughtful, teachable. So that's it for the trends. Now we're going to bring you to the roadmap of experimentation, starting with your e-com campaign structure. So if we look at the advertiser algorithm, it's called the bear algorithm. It basically says that the rank of your ad is based upon the advertiser's bid, your estimated action, and the relevance of your ad. You can already deduct from this, like the more actions that you expect out of your campaign, the more highly your bid has to be, or the more relevant your ad has to be. So if you want to reach a big target audience and well, let people get to know with your brand, try an awareness campaign, not asking too much from your target audience and thereby ensuring a very low cost per mille. If you want to run your sales campaign, you will probably pay triple the price for reaching the same audience, and therefore it's just not efficient for the target of reach. So be thoughtful about your customer journey. Think about which campaigns you want to launch. And if we're talking e-com here, you actually can set up a campaign for every step of the funnel. In the awareness layer, I would suggest run video ads. You can tell more about your brand and you can actually see on the true play rate which audience resonates with your message. Also, you're able to capture that audience by retargeting based upon their true plays. Then in your second layer, you want to use content views. In the past, people optimized for clicks a lot, but a click doesn't necessarily mean that somebody lands on your page, and a landing page view doesn't necessarily mean that they will engage with the content on your website. So to have the truly engaging audience in your click campaign, go for content views. In the activation, obviously, you want to sell them something. So this is where you go for your purchase optimization and the sales objective. And lastly, if you're launching revenue, if you have the retention campaign, you will retarget everybody that has been in the funnel but didn't convert yet. So if we look on the right, then you will have the awareness and the sales objective. The rest of the campaigns you actually don't use in the structure because under the sales objective, you can optimize for the content view, add to cart, and for the purchase. So then another question I mostly get from clients that don't have the biggest budget. Nice to launch an awareness campaign, but I want that direct conversion. How does this help me reach my goals? Because I have a very low target CPA. Well, I made a cheat sheet for that. So this is basically your budget allocation sheet where you can put in all your conversion metrics like your CPM, your CTR, and your conversion rate of your website for every step of the funnel. So look at your past data for your awareness campaign, put that in the sheet. Same for the content view, purchase, and retargeting. And then distribute the budget with the percentages to come down to the target CPA you're aiming for with your full campaign structure. Then how do we bring this campaign structure to the right target audience? In the past, interest targeting was basically the main go-to for meta at your top funnel. But as people are interacting with more stuff every day, the interest lists get longer and therefore also the interest audience overlap. So in 2025, I would advise you to rely more on your customer data. Use your customer data to build those lookalike audiences and actually find people that are based upon the algorithm, most likely to also do the same action as you have your seed audience built on. For instance, if you're running a true play campaign, run it on the 2% of people in that country who are most likely, who are most similar to the people who who already watched your video. The same goes for purchases. If you have your purchase campaign, run it on the 2%. lookalike for your purchasers. Therefore, my targeting tip, don't rely on saved audiences. If you want to have your audience distribution in your campaign or your ad sets, maybe go for one interest audience, one broad audience, and 2 lookalikes. In that way, you can see if the interest audience really captures the interest, really resonates with your brand. And you have the broad audience just to check if everybody is captured in the audiences below, to convert for your goal at a certain CPA. If the broad audience is still converting for a lower CPA, you know that the rest of your targeting is set for a change. Then for your bottom funnel, you actually just want to grab everybody that has converted in some way or another and put them in your purchase campaign so you can shake out those last conversions at a low price. Basically, your retargeting campaign should aim for a ROAS of 8 to 10 so that your top funnel campaigns are also compensated for. Again, grasping back to your budget allocation, your retargeting will generate conversions under a very warm audience, therefore probably halving your CPA on the cold in your cold conversion campaign. Not to dive too deep into tracking, but given that constant updates have been uploaded by Google, ad blockers have been there for 2 years, and iOS 13 is also getting an old story, set up your conversion API. Because in this way, your data will not get blocked. And since the data is the source of all your potential client targeting, you really want the most optimal stream of data coming from your website to the platform. If you want to do an easy setup, just use Shopify integration. Otherwise, you can also check for a Google Tag Manager server setup or the API gateway from Facebook itself. All right, then we come to the last part of this webinar, and it's the ad testing. So in order to really demonstrate our way of work, I came up with a use case. In this case, I chose Nike because I'm a very big fan of the brand. Unfortunately, we do not work for them yet. So if you're in the call, send me a message afterwards and we can talk how we can optimize your strategy. So if you want to start finding the creative concept you want to advertise for, I always start in 1 minute market research in ChatGPT. Basically, what I do here is I tell GPT it has to do a competitor analysis and it will act as a market researcher for an e-com brand, and to identify the main USPs in their strategic group with their competitors, and identify main target audiences, their pain points, desired outcomes, and see how your value proposition can connect the dots from pain point to desired outcome for everybody in your target group. If you do this in a very structural manner, you're able to find not only your main competitors, but also your really unique USPs, and maybe even the creative concept that can help you win on Meta. So just by doing a 1 minute market research, for your information, this chat has cost me around 20 minutes, and you will find what I got out of it. In the first 5 minutes, it already gave me my target audiences. So we have our everyday athletes, we have our Gen Z sneaker lovers, and we have our competitive athletes. Those are basically the main target audiences for Nike, being like a performance-driven brand. What we also see is that we identified our pain points, identified their desired outcomes, and I even asked ChatGPT to take Nike's value proposition to connect those 2 dots, giving me a good overview of things that I could test in the platform in order to see if it really resonates with the target audience. When you want to advertise on these pain points and desired outcomes, you actually want to take those value propositions and translate them into strategic assumptions. So, for instance, we think Gen Z wants to be highly individual by wearing exclusive sneakers. Then our hypothesis would be like by running hype campaigns on exclusive drops, we will be able to convert a target audience ranging from 18 to 25 in age on our platform. So what is it actually all about? Asking the right questions. ChatGPT's output is only as good as the input you put in. So if you truly know what you're looking for, you can easily assess the market, find your unique props, find your target audience, and know ways on how to build engagement in that target audience. So in the past, GPT was basically mainly used for copy. If I launch a new client, the first thing I do is 1 minute market research, find the target audience, build a GPT based on all the outcomes so that I actually have like a prompt of a copy generator who always knows who he's talking to for every product I'm trying to sell for this client. Thereby really scaling my productivity and also scaling my ideation session, because where I normally would use 15 minutes to come up with like creative copy ideas, now I can just send GPT the product and the website, and it will come up with at least 10 ideas. To make it even better, I could use Cialdini's principles, for instance, also load that up in the GPT and have him apply it to the copy text. In this example, we even went one step further. Instead of asking him to generate 5 versions of copy, I asked him to generate creative concepts for testing the hypotheses of the sneaker app. In this case, it came up with 2 creative concepts. One was a countdown, which is mainly used by Nike. So many days until this sneaker drops. And you can do this with an animated static, maybe with a carousel, or just with a feed static that will change every day. The other one was a UGC hype reel. UGC content is one of the biggest trends of the last, I would say, year and a half, because you have real people talking from real experience about that product. So if you would use this concept, use like a sneaker influencer that has high authority and a bunch of awareness, collaborate with them and make a nice UGC hype reel to get everybody involved on the new sneaker launch. Yeah, copy and visual. With the latest launch of GPT 4.0, now you can even generate visuals. Little side note, all the visuals that I used in this presentation are made by GPT 4.0, just to show you what I can do. And I'm talking about the funnel, I'm talking about the GPT, the AI, putting the budget in, and even the just do it image we're looking at now. I even asked him to make a photo based upon the creative concept of the hype for a new sneaker release. What I came up with was an unboxing. First, you can use this closed, and then once the sneaker drops, you can open the box, giving this real tension on, stimulating the curiosity of the audience to see what's in it. And then we have the other one, everybody lining up in store to release, to buy the shoe at the release, which also has this aspect of social influence, because we see a bunch of people actually waiting in line to get it, then it must be really good. The only thing we really have to be critical about here is the shoe is still bigger than the heads of the people. So the content quality is not where we want it to be yet. But I would say give it half a year to a year, and this could turn into your new stock photo library. So another bold statement here, don't fall behind. If you don't integrate AI in your way of work, you will meet the same end Kodak did when digital photography developed. Kodak, for your information, was the market leader in creating film. And if you want to develop a film, you still buy it from Kodak, but there's no camera produced by Kodak nowadays anymore. So stay on top of your game, adopt AI, and increase your productivity. To give you a little head start in this, I actually accumulated everything I did with my market research on GPT to change the proposition of Nike into desired outcomes for its target audience and land on the creative concepts that I presented to you in the end. If you want to have all these prompts and maybe plug your own brand in it to do your own market research, scan the QR code, follow me on LinkedIn, and I will send it to you through the app. All right, then the last part, how do we now find those scaling ads? We will do this with creative A/B testing. I always run next to my always on that we calculated in the budget, funnel budget calculation before, I always run a sandbox campaign next to it. This sandbox campaign is basically a gateway so that you will only use winning ads in your always on campaign. In a sandbox, actually always everything counts. So you can either test new creatives on winning audiences or test new audiences on winning creatives. By doing it in an A/B experiment, you can will find a significance report by the end of your experiment, stating the percentage of confidence that it will repeat itself if you would relaunch the experiment. This will just give you some direction because you can also see in the data which ads are performing against your target CPA. And this will also give you room to directly scale those ads in the audience you tested it in. To make sure you don't internally compete with your own campaigns, I would always advise to test your ads on, let's say, your page and post engagers of the last 180 days. In the basis, that's not really a converting audience for your always on campaign, but since they are engaged, they are converting on, let's say, new assets. So in this way, you will not have the internal competition on the target audience, but still have a very big pool that you can use to test your ads on. Then once you found your winning ads and your winning concept, it's time to create scale in the width of it. So now we had the example of the Nike sneaker ad launch, where we make a carousel ad so people will buy it in app. Make that carousel ad and do a storytelling narrative. Maybe do a before and after with the closed and the open box. Maybe do a green screen recording where you can make the shoe fly around in the sky and land in someone's lap when it's really hyped about it. So there are a lot of ways to really just alter the way you tell the story that you're telling. So the story itself is not going to change. You know it resonates with your audience because you tested it and it has the target CPA you're looking for. But in this way, you can just use that concept in another 16 ways. So what are the main learnings here? Connect with your audience, personalize, give them a personalized feeling by easily diversifying your ad strategy. And to come up with a diversified ad strategy, I would advise you to use AI to scale up your ideation process and get into those creative concepts very quickly. Do we have any questions? Right, currently I don't see any questions coming in. I also see that we already passed the end time of this webinar. I want to thank you all for taking the time to hear the story. I hope you really grasped some new information. If you want to ask me some more questions later, you can either scan my QR code or to reach out to me on LinkedIn, or scan the QR code for Sprints and Sneakers to follow us there. I will keep on sharing those updates on my platform as well. So if you want to stick up to the trends, make sure to follow me there.